Hilchos Shechenim Perek Zayin Misha Yisalei Chalin B'Koslei. A person had a window in his wall. And now a friend comes and builds a courtyard next to the window. In the Yochalim or the Balachalin, it's the same Chalin that you can't come and tell the owner of the courtyard cannot tell the one who built the window that he has to close it. Kadesh Leitit Tabit B. In order that you should not look at me. Why? Because the owner of the window has a chazaka, has established his right to maintain the window, even though it is it has griyat, has source of damage for him. If his friend desires to build a wall opposite the window to block the invasion of his privacy, he has to leave a space of 4 amas next to the window to avoid casting a shadow upon it.
Why?
Base. So the window was positioned low in the wall. The owner of the window may force the owner of the courtyard to build the wall 4 amas away from the window and build it at least 4 amas high, so that the owner of the chutzner cannot look through the window and watch the owner of the window. When the window was positioned high on the wall and the owner of the courtyard built a wall below the window, if there was no more than 4 amas from the top of the wall of the window, the owner of the window may not prevent the owner of the courtyard from building the wall, even though he does not leave any space between his wall and the wall which window was located. Aval. It's the first of all, for the new wall is not casting a shadow over his window, nor does it invade the privacy of the owner of the window. If, however, there's less than 4 amas between the top of the wall and the window, the owner of the window may force the owner of the wall either to lower the wall so that the owner of the courtyard will not be able to stand the wall and look through the window, or may force the owner of the courtyard to build his wall 4 amas from the window and build it more than 4 amas higher than the wall. So that the not cast a shadow, nor will the owner of the courtyard be able to look and not see him. When the owner of the courtyard builds one wall next to the window, he may build the wall at least a tefach away from the window, and must build the wall at least 4 amas higher than the window, or make the wall narrower on top, so it will not sit on it and look into the window and watch the neighbor. Hey, when a person builds 2 walls, one on either side of the window, there must be at least 4 amas between them, and the window must be situated in the center of those 4 amas. The window must be situated in the center of those 4 amas. The owner of the chutzner may not place schach over the space between the walls unless this leaves a space of 4 amas between the schach and the wall. The window is located, so it will not cast a shadow over it. So if a person comes to open a window, whether a larger window or a small window, overlooking a chutzner belonging to a friend, that the friend may prevent them from doing so, if you can tell the owner, you will you're damaging me. Even though the owner of the courtyard could say, you will climb up our ladder and look at me. Look, I suppose the Chalin the Chotzer Chavide Mocholi Balachotzer Shigiladite Shanichi Nishapovasi. Person has opened the window overlooking the courtyard belonging to a friend, and the owner of the courtyard waved his rights to protest or display his willingness to consent. Shada Netzigli, or he knew about it and he didn't protest, or as a Hefzig Bachalin in the Yochel Achakach Latzer Al listing. He made it, the owner now established a chazaka, and he cannot close it. The Ketzadina al Chalin. The Ketzad. The Ketzadina shel Chalin zeshenicha lepaska. Now, so what should he do with the window that is allowed to open? Connect them if it is large enough for a person to insert his head or less than 4 amas high, even if it's not large enough for a person to insert his head into, the owner of the courtyard may not build a wall opposite of it, side less the 4 amas away, as explained in the previous halacha. Zayin, Haizachalin, Ktana, Shindeshi, Shel Adam, Nichlas, Mimenavis, the Manam is Balachos Yochalun is connected with the Shalitain, Virmala, Hinachticha, Leftech, Olive, Nation, Ktana Gobea. If, however, the window was too small for the head of a person to be inserted, and it's more than 4 amas high, the owner of the courtyard may build a wall opposite or its sides. Because you can say, I allowed you to open the window only because it's small and high. But it was not my intent to give you the right that would require me to move away my building. Whether we say this when the window was open to be used or to allow air to enter. If, however, the window was open so the light could enter, even if it was very small and very high, since the owner of the courtyard did not protest at the time of the construction, the owner of the window is granted a right to it. Now, and the owner of the courtyard may not build a structure opposite it or its side until he moves 4 amas so that he does not cast a shadow against it, for he granted him the right to the light. Person has a window for which he established the right, and the owner of the courtyard built opposite it, its sides, without moving away, or he closed the window, and the owner of the window did not protest. The owner of the window cannot come at a later time protesting in the manner that the window be open or that the structure be moved. Since he remained silent, he waived his right to protest. For a person will not remain silent while another person blocks his light unless he relinquishes his right. Because the ball ani eftach l'chalinis acheres b'kezel za'atzmi. And the ma'ala me'elu, as a ma'akel lo v'eirele be'ez shetifta chalinis, tara this kezel was calculated. A person has windows on the lower portion of his wall. A person who owns the adjoining property desires to build a building that would block them. He is not permitted to do so, even if he possesses, even for the purposes of, I will open up a new window for you in this wall to above others. The owner of the window may prevent him from doing so, explaining, you open the windows, you will shake the foundation of the wall on it. And he asked to call a case of Emna is the Chalachadosh, Rasa Bechalinis, the man of the Eskil of Abai started by Hashem the Yachalaku, in the Sinisha that Makar. Even if a person who desires to build offers, I will tear down your wall and build it for you with your windows higher up, and I will rent a home for you to live until I build it. I don't know, the home can still prevent them. You can say, I do not want the trouble moving from one place to another. If it's not difficult, there's no difficulty in moving at all, and it's not necessary for him to leave his home, he can prevent him from performing the construction. We compel him to allow his friend to close his window below and build a new window off from him, not to allow this would be midastem. And whenever there is a situation where one person will benefit and his friend will not lose, nor lacking, we compel that person to cooperate. Abu Bal Khalini Shurot, the Shana is Mokum Khalini bin Mila, and the Mata Fila is a little Amar after Hacher stand of Esther by Balachotz Makabalov. When the owner of the window desires to change the location of the window, whether to raise it or lower, the owner of the adjoining courtyard can prevent it from doing so. Even if the window has a large and its owner says, I will open a small window in another place. Needless to say, we cannot make the window larger. When two brothers divide a courtyard that they receive as a Yerusha on their own accord, evaluating the building and the trees in each of these portion, but they fail to pay attention to the value of the open space. So one receives the garden of the courtyard, one receives the Achsadra. Even if the brothers who receive the garden of the courtyard desire to build a wall at the end of this portion, the front of this portion, they do so even though it casts a shadow over it. For when dividing the estate, they do not pay attention to the value of the open space. Hilchos Shechenim Perek Aleph Hamvakesh Lahitzi Ziz because they al Aver Chatzar Chaveri Kolshu Al Chatzar Ma'akev Alav Asher Mazika B'Re'iyah Me'esh Shetelabe Mishtamash B'Rei. When a person desires to build a projection from his property, regardless of its size, extending over the space over a courtyard belonging to his friend can prevent him from doing so, for he will invade his privacy by looking at him when he hangs articles on the projections. By projecting, when he hangs articles on the projections, he uses it anyway. If he builds the projection, the owner of the courtyard did not protest immediately. The builder of the projection establishes his right to it. The projection was a tefach. The owner of the projection has established the right to the empty space of the courtyard. The owner of the courtyard desires to build under the projection as a result. Nullify its usefulness, the owner of the projection may prevent them from doing so. The projections is not a square hand breadth, and the owner of the projections does not establish the right to the empty space of the courtyard. Whenever the owner of the courtyard desires, he may build under the projection as a result. Is usefulness, the owner of the projections may not prevent him from doing so. Hoya Aziz Jaitsi Rachbei Tefach Mashach Ba'avir Chatzir Shachavir Arba Tfach Michabe Hexig by Barbara Alabro Notzel Achiv was Aziz Vachias Arba Larba is a Machabe in Balachatzi Yochalunes Abra Chatzede Tangas Aziz Klum and the Kidding Yefli Tachlo gave Abra Sart Tvachim Today Shishtamish Baziz. And the projections that was constructed was one tefach wide and extended over 4 tvachim into the space of his friends. The owner of the courtyard did not protest over this. The owner of the projection establishes the right to a space 4 tvachim. The owner of the projection desires he may widen the projection until it 4 tvachim by 4. The owner of the courtyard may not build anything in the space below the projection unless he leaves the space of 10 tvachim below the projection, so the owner of the projections may make use of it. Hamaimid Sulam Cotton She'inli Arbro Chavokim Besat Kosti Besi Chotzr Shochaviri Besi Chadil Leif Subedet Zeh V'chol Zman Shiyitza Balachotzer Beinim Besat Sulam Vatal Tashmishin. A person sets up a small ladder that has a fewer than 4 rungs in a courtyard or a field belonging to a friend next to his wall. He may not establish a right to use his friend's property in that manner. Whatever the owner of the courtyard desires, he may build next to the ladder and nullify its usefulness. If by contrast the ladder is large, possessing 4 rungs or more, the owner of the ladder establishes his right to maintain. If the owner of the courtyard desires to build a structure that would nullify its usefulness, the owner of the ladder may prevent him from doing so unless he moves a sufficient distance away. If the owner of the roof comes to set up a large ladder to chase in the courtyard, the owner of the courtyard may protest and prevent him from doing so that he does not establish his rights. If, however, he sets up a small ladder, the owner of the courtyard may not prevent him from doing so. For we tell him, you are not losing nothing from this, or redesign, maybe move it away. Hey, when a person desires to extend a drain pipe from his roof over a courtyard belonging to a friend, or he made a gutter in the wall so that the water will drain off and descend into his friend's courtyard. The owner of the courtyard can prevent it. If the owner of the courtyard does not protest, the owner establishes his right to the drain pipe. If afterwards the owner of the pipe desires to close it, the owner of the courtyard can prevent it from doing so. Just like he has a chazaka to have his water flow into the courtyard belonging to his friend, the owner of the courtyard establishes the right to have the water from his friend's roof flow into the garden. The owner of the roof desires to move the drain pipe from the one corner of the roof to the other corner of the drain pipe. Where the drain pipe was long and desired to be shortened, the owner of the courtyard may not prevent her from doing so. For the right that he establishes merely that the water flow into the property. The owner of the courtyard desires to build under the drain pipe. The owner of the projections may not prevent him from doing so. For the drain pipe is not made for the use of projections, so that it could be said that the owner of the roof has established his right to open space in the courtyard. The drain pipe is made only for the purpose of letting water flow through it. Vav. When a person caused the water from his roof to descend into the courtyard or his friend and established the right to this privilege, and now if the water was dripping in several places, if the water was dripping in several places and he desired to have it collected in one place and make a drain pipe, he made. If the water would descend in one place and the owner of the water roof wanted it to flow to several different places, he may. He may even build a slanted canopy on the roof so that the water will flow speedily into the courtyard of his friend, for he has established his right to have descended into the courtyard of his friend. Zion. If there's a wall between the properties of Reuben and Shimon, so Reuben and Shimon, there's a wall between the properties, and Reuben and Shimon and the shared ownership both may use it. One may hollow out space from one side and insert his beams, regardless of the size, and the other may hollow out the space from the other side and insert his beams. If the wall belonged to Reuben, Shimon may not make use of it. If, however, Shimon hollowed out space in the wall and inserted one beam, and Reuben remained silent and did not protest, he established his right to the place of the beam. Even if the original beam was small and Shimon desired to change it a big and thick beam being made. If the beam was part of a temporary sukkah, it may not establish the right to maintain it for 30 days. If a will say, I did not waive my rights to protest, I allowed it merely because it was temporary. If the owner of the beam maintains the sukkah for 30 days, he establishes his right. If it's no longer considered temporary, if he constructed a sukkah over the holiday, within all 7 days of the holiday, he does not establish his right to remain it. After 7 days, completed, he does establish his right. If he joins the end of the beam of the wall with mortar, he establishes his right immediately, provided he brings proof that Reuben helped him in the construction or saw he cannot protest. If a person establishes a right to insert one beam into a wall, for he does not have the right to insert a second beam, for the owner of the wall waived his right to protest with regards to one beam. By the way, in cases that when a person inserting the beam admitted that the wall did not belong to him, and the owner waived his right to protest with regard to the inserter of the beam. However, he claimed that I am a partner in this wall. Since he made use of it for one beam, his word is accepted and he is allowed to insert all the beams. He takes a short assessment that he is partner of the wall. The test. It's kדי שיהיו מוכנים להפסיק למנה או שתבקש ממנו וימחול לך ותכלס הקרס ולחפירה בכסף כדי שלא יסמט because the base chafira. One of his friends builds the wall without the participation of the other. Only he has the right to do so. If beams belonging to Reuben were placed within the walls and there was also space hollowed out Shimon's side for him to place his beams, Shimon has not established his right to do so. Shimon may not insert his beams into the wall, nor may he claim that he is a partner in it, for he has no right to use it. Reuben can refute Shimon's claim. Before building the wall, I hollowed out those spaces in the side, so that they will be prepared for you, so that when you will purchase a shear for me, or when you will request me to waive my rights to protest and allow you to insert your beams, you will be able to do so without hollowing out the wall, so that the wall will not be shaken when it's hollowed out. Hilchos Shechenim, chapter 9. Lo yachber adam beir v'leishiach v'leimarav le'yavi amas hamayim le'yaseh brechas hamayim l'ishus be'begodim l'chabes b'sad kostlei shel chaverei elim kin hirchim b'kesel chaverei shleishet tvachim. You're not allowed to dig a cistern, a trench, or a storage vat next to the wall belonging to a friend unless he distances himself at least 3 tvachim from the wall. Nor may he extend an irrigation ditch or make a pool of soaking clothes to be laundered near a wall unless he makes a separation. V'yisayid b'sid l'kesel b'rizil mikveh mayim b'zel l'kesel ha'amo chaver k'tishlei avli ha'mayim b'zing l'kesel chaver. He must seal the wall of the cistern, the water reservoir or irrigation ditch, of the cement on the side near his friend, so that the water does not seep through and damage his friend's wall. Separation of 3 tvachim must be placed between olives, debris, tar, salt, lime, flintstones, a wall belonging to one's friend, but these substances must be called the cement. Separation of 3 tvachim must be made between a wall and the plants. Plowing and a cesspool with urine is collected. A mill must be placed at a distance from a friend's wall. The lower millstone must be separated from the wall by at least 3 tvachim, causing the upper to be separated by 4 tvachim, so that the millstone will not cause tremors of the wall so that the noise will not frighten the neighbors. In other, should be separated from a wall. A separation of 3 tvachim should be made distance between the wall and its base, resulting in a distance of 4 tvachim between the wall and its upper portion, so that the wall will not become heated. Hey, Eben Ashaki vis Makib Begodim. Kolel Achi Islam would serve the Harker. He's Abraham's Mekes Shakavedi Shabish Shakis Makalel Mayim Mitozan Mazigan Lekes. A separation of 4 tvachim must be made between the wall belonging to a friend and a stone used by a auger to beat garments so they become white. For otherwise, when the launder beats the garment with the stone, the water will spray outwards and never.
9.
Vav. Lo yashtel the mayim b'tzav kosher shachavei kehikik beneftation tvachim. He should not urinate next to a wall belonging to a friend unless he distances himself 3 tvachim. Because of the vein with a brick wall. Because of one tefa, but with regards to the stone wall, you can do 1 tefach. So from our world, you can urinate on the side of the wall without making any separation. Zayin.
So big.
A ladder should be separated from a dovko by at least 4 tvachim so that the ladder be placed down, and Martha will not leap up and ascend to the dovko and either doves. One should leave a space of 4 amas between a wall and the drain pipe belonging to a friend. The owner of the drain pipe can set up a ladder to fix his drain pipe. Since he's established his right to the drain pipe, he's given an additional privilege. Halacha tests. Ruben because it's in the case of Shemekin Gam, Borg, that's his case of Sheni. And Shemin Ashias, Exalkum in Bays, and Shemin Ma'akif, Allah Ashiach, connect the Abraham Shia. Tishawakim, mentioning Aksanum Rachov, Tishia Dusha, where Ram discussed Goris. Now, when a wall belonged to Reuben was joined to a wall belonged to Shimon as an L shape, Reuben desires to build a second wall opposite Shimon's wall so that the 3 walls will appear as a base. Shimon can prevent him from doing so and require him to leave a space of 4 amas between the walls so that there will be a wide space between the walls. People can tread and straighten the earth. Because the chutz with regard to the wall of a garden, or with regard to the wall of a queer, and news to the Albanish, Shanak, Kraniskas, but in the older city, this is unnecessary, and I want to build opposite the wall without making a separation. Reuben was built with less 4 amas. Reuben may build opposite without making a separation, even though he prevents from people walking there. As far as that a wall that is less than 4 tvachim per amas does not have to have the earth near the strength. Yet Mishabalach Berbesif Sidil, the Smaich, Mitzahaber, and Stechaber, and Naces, Beresim, Berechel, and Crispy. Yod, Yamala Chabilach Berbetidis, Rakisa, Bershis, Vabamach, Yemen, Halbe, Stebe, Staberish, Shetvach, and Isis, Stay Haberi, so the birds in the similar Chiach, when I miss a Shetvach of the Yakbar. Shiobe Haber, Lachbar, Yach, Conversation was there, Southern Haber. A person comes to a big cistern at the end of the field near the property boundary of a friend. If the field belonging to the person belonging is not appropriate to contain a cistern, the person may leave the cistern next to the boundary. The friend may not protest against him. If the friend changes his mind, decides to dig a big cistern, then next to the cistern may dug, he must separate himself 3 tvachim from the wall of the cistern, so there will be 6 handbreadths between the cavities of the 2 cisterns. The field belonging to the person's friend is appropriate. If these cisterns, the person may not dig a cistern next to the boundary. Instead, he must distance himself 3 tvachim from the boundary before digging. Similarly, when a friend comes to dig a cistern, he may also make a separation, digging the cistern 3 tvachim in the wall. Halacha Yid Alef Abayis V'Alef Shnayim L'Yasu Balabayis Tana B'Tich B'Zei Elim King Yishtei Al Gabu Geva Aramis. the first story of a house and the second story belong to two separate individuals. The owner of the house should not build an oven in the first story in the house unless he leaves a space of 4 tefachim above. The owner of the second story may not build an oven until it's just 3 tefachim thick below. If he desires to build a baker's oven, there must be a ceiling of 4 tefachim thick below, for a range below the baker is required. And even if he made a distance at a damage, he has to pay for it. I therefore spoke with the Yafta Shum. Spasta, Gates of the door, Shirley, but Hen, Hevel, Sam, Harbor, and Pesha, Achim, Mafsid, Paris, Eitzer. When a person owns a store below a storage house belonging to a friend, in the storehouse he should not make a bakery, a paint factory, or barn or cow, nor should he bring in hay or other substance that generate warm air. So then I'm at the produce store in the warehouse. The warehouse was used to store wine or to sell. That's not ruled by heat. Don't remotely perform any tasks at the fire that involves the fire that he desires. However, make it in a barn or for cattle, for this will spoil the room with the wine. Yeah, if the store is already established as a barn, a baker like, and after the owner of the second story the desire to make his lawful warehouse for produce, he may not protest against the store owner's continued use of the premise for the original purpose. The owner of the second story swept out his premise, had sprinkled water on the floor, and made windows that he could use his premises as a warehouse. And the owner of the lower story rushed and began building an oven before the friend brought him the produce to the store warehouse. The owner of the second story began to store sesame seeds, pomegranates, dates, and the like. And the owner of the lower story rushed and began building an oven before his friends brought in wheat to the warehouse. The owner of the store built a loft at the top of the store to separate between the store and the warehouse. The owner of this warehouse may prevent him from taking these actions. If, however, the owner of the store transgressed and built an oven or the like, the owner of the store does not have the power to force him to remove the oven in all these instances.
Almost done.